there's always challenges in these deals, especially when the bigger the home, the pricier the home. Clients want it to be perfect.
Welcome, everyone, to the Closing Table Podcast, real accounts from real estate professionals, brought to you by WindowStill. I'm your host, Kat Spooler, and today I'm sitting down with real estate agent Maulin Shah. Maulin is out in Georgia with Better Homes and Gardens Metro Brokers, and today we sit down and talk about architecture. We hit on some of Maulin's favorite spots in major cities across the country and some of his favorite architectural pieces in Georgia, and we just hit on kind of that local Georgia architecture as well. We dive in deep. You're going to want to check it out. We also talk about Maulin's 3 core principles for how he operates his real estate business. And we ended off with a really fun rapid fire question section that you are going to want to listen to the end for. So without further ado, let's dive in and talk to Maulin. Maulin, thank you so much for joining me today. I would love to kick it off with some of your backstory and how you got into real estate.
Yeah. So, thanks. First and foremost, thank you for having me on your podcast. Very excited to be here. So it got started. I've always wanted to be in real estate. So when I was younger, I'd be one of those kids that watches the Sunday open house specials on TV and kind of just the glamorous of the homes. And, I've always dreamed about owning a home when I was, younger. I have lived in many cities in New York City, Chicago, and just mesmerized by all the cool buildings and architecture that they have there. So just got captivated in that. And, I think my wife and I do New Year's resolutions. Hopefully people do that still. And I was like, hey, I think this is going to be the year that I, get my real estate license. I've always wanted to get it, just haven't found the time or, things of that sort. So finally found the time, looked for classes, signed up, took the course, passed the exam, and, the rest is history. So, here we are. I'm a real estate agent. It's awesome.
Wow. That is awesome. I'm so glad you finally, put pen to paper, put, ideas into reality and took the plunge. I'm curious about you having lived in these other places, because now you're in the Metro Atlanta area, what brought you to Atlanta?
Yeah. So my family was, so we're originally from Ohio. We moved from Ohio to Atlanta and, they moved on. They were, sick of the snow and all the weather, the gloominess, I guess, if you want to call it a little bit, of the Midwest. So they kind of came down to Atlanta where it's more sunnier. And, I followed them with, and, it was a great move. It's just super hot down here in Atlanta. Didn't expect that.
It is.
Nice. Yeah.
I always loved the weather because I'm a fall person, and Atlanta winter is like a Midwest fall, which was just perfect for me.
Yeah, it's great. Absolutely.
And then I'm curious with your New York and Chicago connections, do you have any favorite buildings from those areas?
Yeah, so New York is a mecca of buildings. One of the cool, it's cliche, but one of the cool buildings I like is the Flatiron Building. I think certain cities also have started putting those Flatiron buildings in their cities, but from a bird's eye view, looking at it, just it's shaped like an iron that you press your clothes with. Just a cool building. Another cool building is the IAC building. I think it's all white. It has thousands of glasses on it, and it's a cool architecturally building. So kind of it's always captivated my eye. Another building in Chicago is the Rookery Building. Fun fact here is if you look at the Home Alone 2 movie, this building was featured as Duncan's toy chest. If you remember Mr. Duncan in that movie, this was the Rookery Building filmed in Chicago, but New York, however you want to look at that. But yeah, so that's one of my favorite buildings. The spiral case there, the lobby is absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, that's one of my favorite buildings down there, or up there.
And then now being in Atlanta, do you have a favorite Atlanta building?
That's a good question. I think the one that always sticks out is I think it's the Bank of America building or the Bird's Nest, the biggest building that
the Pencil I've heard it called as well.
Yeah. Pencil, Bird's Nest. I think they're making a restaurant up top, which is nice. But that's kind of it's unique. It stands up by itself. That I've never seen a top like that. So it's a cool building down here in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's pretty iconic, which is why you can't really talk about Atlanta without talking about the film industry and Stranger Things. Yes. So in the beginning of season 2, this is going to be my nerd moment because some people have heard me say I worked in the film industry. So I worked on the show a little bit. Nice. In the beginning of season 2, they show the pencil at the Bank of America building, whatever we're calling it, and they like try to pass it off as Pittsburgh. And I'm sure everybody in Pittsburgh is like,
Oh no.
we don't have that, and
Yeah.
everybody in Atlanta is like, that's downtown
That's us.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Everybody else in the country is totally fooled. But yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. a lot of stuff is filmed down here for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Maulin, bringing it back to our real estate journey, now that you're in it, and you're starting to work with clients, like what is it like for clients to work with you?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is, I'm a big communicator, over communicator, if anything. I want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable with me. So anytime I have, buyers or sellers on both sides, I want to make sure that they feel comfortable. So I'll have, pre-listing or pre-buying meetings with them, set expectations for them and myself. Say, here's what I offer, here's my services, and, kind of hear them out and say, hey, what are you guys looking for? What do you guys want to do? What is that you can afford, right? So kind of just make sure that I'm communicating with them, but then also, as I'm talking, I'm listening, right? So it's a two-way street. So I want to make sure that, all things are, set well, just so then we can kind of go out there and set the journey right and make sure that they get what they need and what they deserve. So I want to make sure that they get everything that they can. And this is one of the biggest transactions of their lives, one of the many. So, the more comfort that I provide in them and make it easy, minimal hiccups, the best is, yet to come.
Yeah, it's, buying a home is really exciting and incredibly stressful. Like,
Yes.
I'm in the thick of it right now, and I'm just curious how you, kind of set yourself, or rather set your clients up, set up their expectations for how this journey is going, especially in today's market, which is a little challenging for buyers, especially.
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of stay factual, right? I think there's so much in the media, news, TikTok, all the different social channels that anyone may have is, we want to make sure that, yes, their interest rates have fallen. The Fed did cut it 50 basis points. What does that mean? When are the rates actually going to come down? How do you talk to the banks, and what is it that I can be, what can I afford to lend? All those different things is kind of how I think about it and talk to my clients and say, hey, the market conditions are changing. The competition may be rising or may stay where it is. The house prices are also rising. So what does that look like? And kind of just, provide as much factual information I can to them is the most important thing that I could give to them. And then set that clear path to them.
And then we were kind of talking before about, and people who listen to the podcast know that I lived in Atlanta for a while, and we were talking a little bit before about how it's full of transplants. So I'm sure you're finding some of your clients are relocating. It's a huge international city. There's so many businesses. There's the film industry, like we've already mentioned. I'm wondering, like, and especially you as a transplant yourself, like, what do you love most about Atlanta? What do you love to show your clients about the city and the metro area?
I think it's the culture. I mean, like you said, it's a melting pot. Given, I know New York City is a melting pot. We all say that, but given there's so many transplants here in Atlanta, I mean, you see people from Louisiana, Carolinas, Florida, wherever. I mean, people just love coming here. It's like you said, it's a big city. We've got the busiest airport in the world. So I think that's the biggest thing. The culture, the people, the hospitality is enormous. People hold elevators and open doors, and it's different. I've lived in the North, and that doesn't happen often. So here it's a thing. It's a custom. It's, what happens here. So, it's just, showing the culture, the food, the people, the different neighborhoods. If you go to the northern part of Atlanta, there's a lot of outdoor shopping and dining that has come up now. The Halcyon and Cumming and the Avalon and Alpharetta, and you go down south a little bit, and you get to these local breweries in Summerhill, right? So there's all these different cool things happening, and one of the things is you can live anywhere you want to, and the city of Atlanta will start coming towards you, with these different outdoor shoppings and dining. So, don't feel like you need to live in the city. There's a city within the city, wherever you live.
Yeah. Do you have any strong feelings then? Well, I would guess that you don't have a lot of strong feelings about like ITP versus OTP.
I don't. Each has their own individuality to it, but if you're trying to get into the city, try to live near the city. The traffic, they don't tell you about that, is it can get backed up quickly. So if you want to be, if you're a city person, always want to be going to the sport venues. Try to stay near the city, but you can always travel in as well.
Right. And then if people don't, ITP is inside the perimeter, which is like,
that's right.
The highway that circles around Atlanta, and outside the perimeter is OTP. And so people who are from there can have some strong feelings about that. But I'll say, as someone, I always lived OTP.
Same.
It takes you just as long to get inside the city from outside the city as it does from inside one part of the city to the
That's right.
other.
I mean, everyone knows the back road, so they're all taking it anyways. So yeah, for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah. Um,
Definitely.
Maulin, what would your advice be
Yeah.
for any first-time buyers right now?
Yeah, so I usually say this for first-time buyers and sellers. Is get pre-approved. I know that sounds basic. It's like step one of everything, but just make sure pre-approved. Pre-approved. I would love looking at $1 million properties and 2, 3 million, whatever that might look like. But if you're a client and you're coming to me and saying, hey, I'm not pre-approved, or maybe haven't done it yet, and we're looking at $1 million properties, and all you can really afford is maybe a $500,000-$600,000 house, then we're kind of wasting time, kind of wasting efforts, and kind of getting your hopes up, saying, "Hey, I want this house," but you really can't afford it. Um, so I always say just get pre-approved, make sure we're good. I'll call them just to make sure that they have been validated good. There's been instances where someone thought they were pre-approved and they gave it to me, and it was a falsehood, right? So it was a fake pre-approval letter. So this is just so important to make sure that as a realtor or anyone, that you call and say, "Hey, thanks for the letter. I'm gonna go do my homework and call them, make sure that this is legitimate," right? So there have been cases like that where a lot of people are trying to do a little fraudulent stuff there. But um, number one advice: make sure you're pre-approved by an established bank or credit union or whomever it may be, just to make sure that we're looking at the right house for your needs and not something that's a dream home or something down the line in 10, 15 years.
Wow, I would never think someone would, let's call it what it is, like forge something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see how it's not difficult, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know what good
It,
it's going to do you when at the end of the day, if you don't have that money, you don't have
yeah.
the
And
money.
it was sketchy. I mean, it looked a little bit clean, but then I saw a lot of missing information. I saw missing lender numbers, and I saw they didn't want to provide proper email and phone number. Phone number is the only thing that was legitimate. So I called it, and the guy was like, "No, I don't remember pre-approving them. They're not my records." And I was like, "Okay, this is a fraud." And I did dig a little bit deeper, but you just gotta be cautious, and that's what a realtor does, right? You got to make sure that you're doing your due diligence, making sure that everyone is crossing all the boxes, making sure everything is legitimate.
And then for your sellers, a lot of people are holding on to their homes for a long
Yeah,
time, but there's always going to be people selling their homes, and maybe they haven't
yeah,
sold in 10 or 20 years. So they're essentially first-time sellers, right? First time in this
yeah,
market. What
yeah,
would your advice be to those people?
yeah. Just if they are selling it for the first time in 10, 20 years, get yourself a trusted real estate agent. If they're upsizing, if they're going up in terms of size, um, just again, make sure you're pre-approved, right? Like you might say, "Hey, I'm going to sell this house for $600,000." You want to buy a $1.2 million house. Well, hopefully you have enough equity that you've built in to sell your house. But if not, then make sure you have pre-approval to buy that house. But just make sure your home is nicely renovated. Obviously, 10, 20 years ago was new then, not new now. Make sure it's been it has a new smart home. I think that's what everyone kind of wants now. So make sure your homes are smarter. The floors are clean. There's more hardwood than carpet, things like that. Things are just modern. Make sure it's up to date. Make sure all your HVAC, roofing, all that stuff is just well kept, up to date, and attracts the buyer coming in. And sometimes you have to stage the home to make sure it looks nice, rearrange it, but just make sure all things are well. I had a case where I was on a listing age. I was a listing agent, and the home looked good from the perceived eye. But when the inspection report came out, it was like a scroll, and I was like, "Oh man, here we go." It looked good to me, but when the inspector comes out, they have their own. They got to find something, right? That's kind of what their job is. And when it came to as a scroll, I was like, "Oh man, we're gonna lose this deal." But you know, the buying agent and myself kind of worked out a deal with the folks that wanted to buy it. Kind of met in the middle, negotiated something. So that worked out, but just make sure everything is always tip top, and you never know what's going to happen. No deal is ever done until you're at the closing table. No pun intended, but you got
Yeah.
to make sure everything is done well.
Yeah, I think it's hard because it's different when it's your home and you've been there for a long time. Like, how often are you peeking in your attic? Like, probably
Yeah,
not.
not
Or checking your crawl space, or things like that just kind of fall
right.
by the wayside. I'm curious, you mentioned smart homes. Like, obviously we
Yeah,
all love technology. We are, of the modern era, computers in our
yeah.
hands all the time. I'm curious what kinds of things you're seeing that like qualify as like smart home, and what you're seeing people kind of look for.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, the technology is crazy, right? So you have something called MyQ, which can open your garage, open and close it. You have the Nest thermostat, obviously, that's like the staple. But there's so many new ones out. There's Ecobi, there's all that stuff. Just making sure that there's indoor cameras and outdoor cameras, motion sensor lights. There's just so many smart things. Whether it be hey Alexa, can you turn on my radio? Or hey Alexa, what's the temperature like? And all the different things that are just within people's homes nowadays. It's like almost robotic. You just go in and start talking to your house. Smart locks even. Just make sure that you can come in and close the door behind you. There's just so much stuff that people have put into it, and some people like it, some people don't. I had a neighbor next to me that it was raining, the power went out. He didn't have his keys because he went for a walk, and the smart home didn't open, right? Because he didn't have keys, and the lock was on power and things of that sort. So he was locked out. So it's nice to have a smart home, but you just gotta be cautious of how smart you're making it, because sometimes you forget just the basics. You kind of forget the basics.
For sure. It's funny that you bring that up because my father-in-law just changed like his to the smart thing, and it can do a thumbprint and it can do a code and it'll automatically like lock after 2 minutes. And I think he can probably control it from his phone. And I said to my husband, I said, oh my God, that's so cute. And it's so cool, especially the locking thing, right? Then you're not like, did I lock the door?
That's right. Yeah.
But my husband, his first thing was, I'd want to make sure it had a manual key too.
Yeah. Just in case. That's right.
Yeah. So it's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Maulin, do you have any particularly like rewarding transactions that come to mind, or something that was really challenging that you learned something from?
Yeah, so we had a deal that we were working on. I won't say where, but it was a $2 million deal, and it was great to do it, but it was just a hard sell. I think that was during the market when everything was like, hey, the rates were high, we're not going to buy anything yet. So, I had many clients ahead of wealth, and they just didn't want to buy it. They knew they had the potential to buy it, but they just didn't want to. And you can only lower the price so much before it's like, hey, I'm really gonna get some ROI on that. So it was challenging just selling it given the rates, the markets, but we were able to kind of negotiate, finagle some stuff, and say, hey, we bring the price down, but we'll do this. We'll keep the price up, but will you willing to kind of negotiate here? So what we ended up doing is we brought the price down. We ended up, painting the house. We ended up doing pressure washing. We ended up making the home a little bit more smarter, putting, epoxy in the garage, things of that sort, just to kind of give it some oomph to it and make it kind of move-in ready, more move-in ready, if you will. So just, there's always challenges in these deals, especially when the bigger the home, the pricier the home. Clients want it to be perfect. Hey, I'm gonna spend $2 million. I better get everything that I want for $2 million or $3 million. So those are always challenging. The fun ones are, when it's not the $3-4 million, because it's, hey, I got equity. I want to buy this home for $300,000. I can put money in it. I can paint it the way I want, and I can drill holes where I want to, and those are good. The $1 million homes are obviously great, but the more higher priced, the clients want every single bells and whistles given today's modernization. So it comes with different challenges.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm sympathetic to that too. If I was going to spend $1 million on something, I'd want it to be pretty near perfect.
That's right. Yeah, for sure.
I'm curious how you feel about, or your opinion on, some of the like home architecture around Atlanta, because you have so much variety. You have a lot of, you have some historic homes. Like we have to pull out our history book and understand that Atlanta rebuilt itself twice, since the start of America. It has been through some time. So in terms of old houses, they're only so old. But you do have these beautiful historic looking houses, and then you have your more contemporary ones, and then you have some of these like super modern, very angular, I'm curious, from your view, what your opinion is on all the different architecture styles in Atlanta.
Yeah, and you just said it, right? There's so much here that it's amazing, right? So if you want to find someone that wants the old vintage homes, you go to Virginia Highlands, or you go to different areas that have kind of the old money or the old kind of architecture. You go to Summer Hill by the zoo area, it's kind of like smaller homes but really neat inside, and has 3-4 levels of it with the backyard and stuff like that. So it's kind of neat just looking at different areas. Yes, the cookie cutters is kind of even what I live in today in the development. It's nice. Everything's gated here in Atlanta. It's nice to have that. I didn't experience that much in the north, but everything in the south is gated, or it seems like it. But I like the cookie cutters. I don't mind it. But if you ask my wife, she likes some character to it. She likes personality, some roofing to be kind of a little different, if you will. Things sticking out where not in a cookie cutter way, if you will. So I like the all glass look. I like the all glass. I think the white and black look has been a common theme among many homes recently, but I think that's kind of dying down. I'm not sure what the next trend is. I think it's still white and black, but I see that kind of fading. I'm not sure what's coming up next. But to your point, yes, there's many pockets in Atlanta where there's the white and black homes and old vintage homes, the cookie cutters. So, they're all there. Being someone who loves architecture, I like all the modernizations. I like I don't like the crazy big homes, but I do like the nice, cool looking homes that are California style, if you will.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, I love you just drive through
Paces
Buckhead, for
Ferry, yeah,
example. Yeah. And
exactly.
you're just like, wow, wow, wow.
Stunning, yeah,
Yes, dream homes left and right.
yes, yeah. You gotta, I always do that, and I drive slow, and there's Hong Kong. So I'm like, all right, just looking at the houses, man.
I'm like, we
They're
don't
just
have
so
to drive that
nice.
fast. There's tons of traffic. It's okay.
Yeah, you're gonna get there same time I'm gonna get there. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Marlon, I'm curious what you would say is the biggest lesson you've learned in real estate.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I'll say three is just stay humble, stay patient, and just stay helpful. As the three pillars that I kind of live on. And the biggest thing is stay patient. There's in this business it's very cyclical. Things come at you all at once sometimes, and when it rains it pours. You get so many clients all the time, and I love that. Because I love balancing and doing different things there. But you just gotta stay patient. Sometimes it's quiet, like right now it's getting a little more. But when it was high interest rates, it was very quiet. It was like, man, where are the people at? And we would get some, but not a lot. So just gotta stay patient. Those $1 million deals will happen, and other transactions will happen. Just stay patient, stay humble. Again, you never know when those mega deals are happening. Just be gracious, be thankful that it's happening. That you're the person that they chose to trust and put faith in. And then just stay helpful. There's folks on my team and folks that are that I work with, and we collaborate all the time. Hey, you have a deal? Great. I'm super happy for you. And how can I help you? What are some things you're going through that I've gone through that, here's some pointers that I saw that will help you mitigate something with your client. So it's all about just working together. There's not like a me versus you or competition. We're all just trying to be good at the same time. So, we all rise up together. Just like the Falcons mantra. But we all win together when we work together.
Yeah, that's definitely my philosophy too. And I love to see it in others as well, especially
Yeah,
every industry is tough, right? So like why would you make it harder on yourselves
yeah,
by not,
exactly.
leaning on each other?
Yeah, and like you said, by leaning on each other, there could be times when you can co-list things, right? You can work together on different transactions. Say, hey, you've done this. Can you help me do this with me, right? So there's benefit of working together and helping together. You got to stay open-minded and make sure deals will come. I think the more helpful and impactful you become, the more folks come to you, right? The more referrals you get. So I think that's the biggest lesson there.
Marlon, are there any habits or routines that you have that help drive your success?
Yeah, my childhood friends always tease me, but I'm crazy organized. When growing up, there's things all over the place. I was that kid that had everything, sectioned or bucketed or basketed. I'm very organized. You look at my office today, I can tell you exactly where this book is on what shelf, the fourth one down, etc. So I'm very organized in that sense. I make folders for every client and make sure I write a lot. I'm a big writer, so I write detailed notes when I'm with them in the car and when I'm talking to people. I just write and write and write. It's just my therapy. So the biggest thing is I just stay organized, and the more the harder you work and the harder you work at something organization, the more success you have, and it's just been my biggest thing. Just stay organized, stay focused, and stay present. That's the biggest thing. Just staying present with the client. Right now I'm not thinking about anything else but talking to you, and that's important to me. Just staying present is huge too.
Do you have any like tools or apps that you use to help you stay organized?
I don't. I just kind of, that's of the modernization that I like to be. I just kind of have things that are in, like I have a basket right here that I'm like, all right, here are my bills. Here's my next deal. Here's my next folder. So I kind of just use old fashioned way. It works. Why change if it works? But yeah, and when it comes to real estate, I kind of look at different apps for that. For how much can you afford and things like that. What house is coming up, popping up. But in terms of organization, it's just these little olden baskets that I kind of use as my methodology.
Hey, if it works, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
And then I love what you said about being present because I think it makes a big difference to people, and especially in a day and age where there are so many things competing for our attention all the time.
Yeah,
Whether it's our own thoughts are competing with our
Sure.
attention, or, our cell phones or
Yeah.
email, the thing that buzzes 20 and shines
Yeah.
bright lights
Too
24/7.
much.
I think it's being present has become a skill, and I think it's a
Yes.
very
Yeah.
valuable skill.
It's, I see so many folks that have maybe low attention spans, or, they do TikTok and they just kind of keep scrolling. It's like, do you even watch what happened, or do you even know what's going on? And, I don't have many social apps. I kind of just kind of stick to the facts of whatever you see, NBC or whatever it may be. And, uh, you know, real estate articles and things like that. I just kind of make sure I read and stay thorough and stay well read. Those are my social media things, right? Just staying well.
Maulin, are there any real estate myths you'd like to debunk?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is I don't need a real estate agent to
Mm.
sell my home. I don't need anyone to kind of show me homes. I can kind of go there to an open house and buy it and look at it, whatever it may be. You can do all those things. You can. There's a reason why we're here as professionals, but you can definitely go out by yourself. I think the biggest thing is when you want to sell something or buy something, without it, you get what you pay for. When you call me and say, hey, I want to use you, or I want to use your services, I'm going to put in the hours. I'm going to log the office hours, the amount of research that I can do to find the comps, the proper adequacy of, can this home be compared to this home? How many bedrooms does this have? And is it comparable? Yes, you can go online and do that yourself as well. But, there's different tools that we have as realtors that we use that are not specific to the general public. So, that's something that we use as our value add. Who's going to do these, open houses for you? If you're going to sell it by yourself as a, for sale by owner of FSBO, are you going to, how are you going to get the contract and make this contract and know what's going on? Who's going to help you write this? Who's going to do these open houses for you? Are you going to have open houses Saturday, Sunday? And if you do, great. Are you going to be inside the house? Sometimes folks don't like it when the owner himself or herself is in the house and kind of giving the tour by themselves, and they may not point out any defects or leaks that may have happened. And whereas I'm like, hey, just letting you know, there was a leak here. It's been fixed. It's been solved. Here's a receipt for it. It's not going to happen again, and things like that, right? So who's going to provide that knowledge base to you? And when an offer comes in, who's going to do the offer writing, right? There's a lot of negotiations that go back and forth, and when you're trying to buy or sell a home, there's a lot of negotiation that happens in between to meet in the middle there. So who's going to do all that stuff? And that's what I would do, right? That's what my services are. So, yes, you get what you pay for, but what I do is above and beyond in terms of how much I log the hours, burn the midnight oil. So that's one of the best that I always hear is like, I don't need you guys. You guys, do too, take too much. It is to own, each is to their own, but we do a lot on the back end that we want to make sure that you're getting the best deal. I want to make sure that this transaction is the biggest one you're making, and I want to make sure you are done right, that you're not ripped off by any means. Another myth is, offer low, and a home comes in, it's a $500,000 house, and as an example, you're like, oh, I'm just going to offer 450. Well, you can, it's this is kind of subjective, right? Because is the home old or new? Is it smart or not smart? Does the roofing need help? There's a lot of things that go into that. And that's something that I can kind of point out and say, hey, look, your HVAC hasn't been replaced. Your roofing is kind of bad. Your siding is kind of peeling off. I'm pricing it here, or I'm going to buy it at this price because of this justification. And if someone buys that because you thought it was lower, you offer for 50, someone offers for 70. Well, they may have just overpaid. And that's so be it, right? But you want to make sure you are getting the right home and the value is there. That's the biggest thing, making sure your value add is there. And that's kind of what my job is finding all the things and making sure that, hey, we're going to offer this price, and here's why. I want to make sure I give you the why behind that.
I think that's a really important aspect of the market to bring up. It's like, and this is what my agent said to us when we started looking, is at the end of the day, the purchase price determines the value of the home. Whatever someone ends up paying for it, when it's all said and done, that's the value of the home. And that value is going to be different to different people,
Right.
where you're at on your journey. If you're just starting to look, maybe not as valuable to you. But if you're at the end, if you need to be moved into somewhere quick, you got things to do and places to be, it's more valuable to you. And, I know there's so much talk, especially in the news, about the houses, about housing prices and things like that. And at the end of the day, the market is determining the value.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the rates are going down, which is great. You look at the jobs report; those are going up, so that's good. but then now the rates are kind of creeping back up a little bit. So, you got to look at all these different factors when it goes into it. And does maybe the common man does look into all this stuff, but I may have more in-depth knowledge about it, and instead of a 6% rate, I can get you maybe a 4 or a 5 or something like that, based on how we kind of look at the deal. So, those are the valuable things. You might go in there wanting to buy something, but are you really getting the best deal? Are you getting the best, lending advice from that? So you got to look at there's so many facets to this, and when you're making a 6-figure, 7-figure purchase, I recommend you go with a local expert or someone that knows the industry. You don't want to just go in there blindly, because then you might get ripped off, or you might, pay more than you need to, and then you rather use that money to paint your house or make it smarter, or, fix your driveway up, whatever.
Yeah. I always think it's so interesting that people would push back on the idea of working with a real estate agent, because that boggles my mind. It's like, I
Yeah.
could change the oil in my car. Nobody should let me. Like, I could
Exactly.
learn, but I
Yeah.
don't think at a
Come on.
level that I really would be comfortable driving my
Yeah.
vehicle, over and over again. Like,
Safely. Yeah.
listen, like I believe in all human beings. I think we are
Yeah.
all so smart and we can do so many things, but we
Yeah.
specialize in things for a reason. And this is
That's
your
right.
specialty.
Yeah.
And the car mechanic who changes my oil, that is their specialty.
That's right.
I don't need to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I need
yeah.
experts.
Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of stuff, done in my garage, and I was like, hey, yes, I can do this. It'll take me time of, blood, sweat, and tears, but as a guy on the street that's a woodsman, let him just take care of it. I'll pay him, and did a phenomenal job in a day. But it's just one of those things. Yeah. Let the experts do what the experts do. Don't, especially on a home purchase. That's a big deal. You're going to settle here, and family potentially, and you want to make sure you're making the right decision here.
Maulin, are you seeing any challenges in the market, or are you seeing any challenges that maybe your clients are facing, and how are you helping them overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two pools of people. I think we kind of just hinted on that. There's pools of people that says, hey, the rates are going down. I want to buy a home today, right? I've been waiting so long. It's been the first cut in 4 years since COVID. I want to buy a home. I've been saving so much. I lived with my parents. I got equity now. I want to buy. So that's great. I love those clients. So they go out and buy. They're pre-approved. What that does is they reduce competition today in the field, because there's less people wanting to buy. The home prices are actually going down, which is great. I thought they're actually going to go up, or stay there, or go up, but they're actually coming down, which is great. So that way they can negotiate kind of the price too, right? So if it's a $5,000 home and they want to buy for 480, let's say, they may get that deal for 480. And then to keep in mind, these guys that may buy these homes for 6% rate, they can always refinance it. Once they're in, they can always refinance it something lower, but they got what they wanted. They got their home, they got the dream home, the starter home, the full backyard, etc. So that's the pool of folks that you're getting, is one pool. The second pool is, you know what, I have money, I want to save. I'm still waiting for the rates to continue to go down. But guess when when that happens, everyone's gonna come out. Everyone's gonna come out wanting to buy that next home. Then you're gonna get into these negotiation bidding wars, right? So like, hey, I want to buy this home. Someone else wants to buy this home. I have a larger equity. Someone else may have a decent size, but not enough. Now the seller gets to kind of choose where they're going to go with. So there's a lot of competition, that can happen in that arena. So you just want to make sure that you're set up well, you're set up successfully, and in that time of, I say buy now, but should you lose out on that deal, you could potentially lose out on this home that you've been always looking for. Like, hey, the rates are lower, the price is good, I want to buy it, I got equity, someone else does as well. So you may not get that home, so don't stay too attached to that. But yeah, just kind of helping folks overcome what is today, right? The rates, the prices, etc. Making sure that they're well knowledgeable about what's happening in the market today.
And then, did you set goals for 2024? And if so, how are they going?
They're going well. Have done some deals, and I got bigger goals next year. But it was kind of high and low this year. Given the market. So my main thing was getting myself exposed to everybody in the community, right? Going to local breweries, going to town centers, making sure people knew who I was, what I do. Just getting more folks there. And I was just featured in Suwannee local magazine, as a real just as a real estate agent, what I provide. So just kind of getting my face out there. Some folks in various developments may have gotten welcome letters from me saying, hey, when you're ready, do call me or think about me. So I've been doing just a lot of marketing blitzes left and right. I think you lived in Atlanta. Mark Spain is a big player here, and just he does all these TV ads and campaigns, and then I'm not saying I'm the next Mark Spain, but I'm trying to get as much exposure as I can to everybody that I can touch.
That's awesome. I think that's a
Yeah.
great goal. Yeah, you just got to be kind of loud about what you're doing.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
people will think of you as the household
I
name.
hope so. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Maulin, I'm really excited about this. We got some rapid fire questions here.
All right.
And I think the play is just first thing that comes to your mind, quickly as possible. Here we go. Coffee or tea?
Oh man, tea, chai tea.
Oh, yum. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl for sure.
Go-to karaoke song?
Man, karaoke. Gosh, I haven't done a lot. I mean, anything that's so I have a 4-year-old daughter, and so we're always belting out Taylor Swift.
Oh yeah,
anything Taylor Swift is what I'm belting out.
Beach vacation or mountain retreat?
Definitely beach.
Okay, if you could instantly learn one skill, what would it be?
One skill. Oh man. I mean, I was gonna say influencing people, but I think I'm fairly good at that. One skill that I could learn. Oh my gosh, I'm stumped. Let's
it's
come
okay.
back to
We
that
could
one.
pass. Yeah. Guilty pleasure TV show.
Oh man. So when my wife first met me, it was The Bachelor or Bachelorette. I don't know why. It just kind of.
You
I
get
don't know why.
hooked.
Yeah, you watch one in passing, or there's nothing on TV, so like, all right, let's just watch this. And you're like, oh, now you captivate. Now you got to, they leave cliffhangers, right? So you got to keep
My
watching
roommate
it.
in college, same thing.
Yeah.
What was the last book you read?
The last book I read, it was built. Is it built from scratch? The Home Depot guys, Arthur Blank and Bertie Marcus.
Oh, we're all gonna have to have
Great
a book club now.
Yes.
Dream travel destination.
My wife and I really want to go to Bora Bora or Maldives, something in that realm. I think that'd be kind of nice to kind of just swim up and kind of stay in a shack, swim up in a pool, come back, and just
look
at paradise. So I think that'd be cool.
If you could time travel, would you go to the past or the future?
Future. I'd love to see what's happening in the future. I would, I've lived in the past. It's great, but I'd love to see what's upcoming.
I think that's the right answer. Okay. Do you have a secret skill?
Secret skill. I talk to everybody, so I think my secret skill is just being able to convince someone to kind of do what I want them to do without them knowing that they're going to do what I want them to do.
Goes back to the influencing. Love it.
Yeah.
Favorite sports team?
So I'm from Cleveland, so all Cleveland Browns, Indians, Cavs, and they break my heart every year. But that's my team.
Oh, you're okay. So then our final question: who's going to win the World Series?
I hope the Guardians make it. I hope the Cleveland Guardians make it. If not, I'll be rooting for not the Yankees because they win everything. So anyone not the Yankees, maybe. Well, the Dodgers win everything too. I don't know. Hopefully Cleveland wins everything.
Oh, great! Another great answer is the Tigers because sorry.
Oh, yeah. So I guess we'll be talking next week to see who wins after our Saturday game.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. It's all tied up at this point in time. So
it's captivating. Yeah.
Well, Maulin, that was super fun. Thank you so much for joining me today. Would you like to let people know how they can find you, how they can work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you, Kat, for allowing me to be on your platform. Appreciate it. The easiest way to find me is to, look at my Instagram handle, IG at Maulin Shah Real Estate. You can find me there. You can always look me up for my brokerage, Better Homes and Garden, Metro Brokers. I work in the Duluth office, so feel free to reach out to me, and I'll provide you my phone numbers and emails and the contact information. But very easy, easy to get a hold of. I'll be biggest thing I say is I'm always of service. You can always find me. All my clients know. Even till today, the past clients still call me and say, "Hey, I just want to talk real estate. Not a deal, but I just want to talk to you about real estate." So I'm always here to talk about anything, buy, sell, general landscape of real estate, anything. Always here for you and anybody.
Well, we will make sure your website and socials are linked below so people can find you with just a click. And thank you again so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Closing Table podcast brought to you by WindowStill. I'm your host, Kat Schooler. Please be sure you're following our podcast on Apple or Spotify. And if you're part of our YouTube audience, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're enjoying our podcast, please feel free to leave us a comment or review. It helps us find more amazing listeners like you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.